Hey guys, Nuffenschwander here with my first Dark Souls 3 commentary. Now, I know, the world has been waiting for me to give my view on the PvP in this game. I mean, it's not like there is an abundance of assholes with an opinion on the internet, right? Well, I'm making this video anyway, because I'm damn passionate about the Souls games. I've been playing them since 2012 pretty much non-stop, for way over 1000 hours per title, and I really like Dark Souls 3. Like all Souls games, it has some issues, but none of them are significant enough to make me wanna stop playing the game. I have noticed, however, that a lot of my friends did stop playing this game. Quite a lot of them actually went back to Dark Souls 1 or 2 or other games in series entirely already. People that I know are as enthusiastic towards Souls games and especially their PvP as me. And frankly, even though I still play Dark Souls 3, I have no intention to stream the game or make that many montage videos. Why is that? And what can be done about the situation? After listening to what my mates say about the matter, thinking about it myself, and lurking on Reddit of course, I want to give my own interpretation of what is the issue with the PvP and, in extension, with the game in general. It's not so much the fact that it has issues. Every Souls game had major issues after release and needed some patches to get to the point for which we remember them now. Dark Souls 3's PvP definitely has issues, and I'm going to talk about them, but that is not what makes people quit the game, in my opinion. The reason some people are disappointed with the PvP is that at least some of the issues the game has seem to be down to design, rather than the result of a programming mistake or balancing misjudgment, as was the case in the past. Which, of course, lowers the hope of anything being done about those things. Now, let's quickly talk about duels, because in and of themselves, they are, in my opinion at least, probably the least problematic aspect of Dark Souls 3, aside from the pretty nice PvE campaign. I at least enjoy them greatly, and even though I was always an invader in Souls games rather than a duelist, I have limited my PvP shenanigans to almost exclusively dueling for that reason. There are more issues that also affect dueling, but I will tackle those things in another video. The only thing apart from that is I'm getting seriously sick and tired of the Pontiff area. It's not so much of an issue when I'm playing, but making video after video of me fighting people 1v1 in the same area? I don't think I will do that for very long, since I, as a viewer, would find that very, very boring. I sincerely hope the DLCs bring more variety in that regard. Maybe even an arena, which would solve the only issue I have with dueling specifically at the moment. But let's move on to the elephant in the room. The state of invasions, shall we? There are so many issues with those, it's hard to figure out where to begin. We could talk about how it is almost impossible for many people to get summoned as blues or wolves, no matter their soul and upgrade level. We could talk about the completely incomprehensible lack of a blue eye orb, making the Dark Moon and Blue Sentinels covenants completely indistinguishable from one another. But I want to talk about the more general thing. The fact that, as someone on Reddit put it aptly, invaders in Dark Souls 3 are pretty much there for comedic effect at best. At worst, they are simply free souls for the host, his two summons and his blue. The state of invasions is completely and hilariously stupid. At this point, I should immediately say that this whole get good spiel we like so much in this community does not apply here. Just like any other uploader, I can invade 100 times and then make an MLG montage out of the 5 spectacular gangspanks I managed to accomplish, while completely omitting the 95 times I was spawn raped by a host, 3 Sunbros, and a blue. I could then post that video on Reddit and tell everyone that invasions are completely fine and you just have to get good. Would make me look damn good and would probably net me some of that delicious karma. I'm not about that life though. And one other thing. I do realize that invasions are not supposed to be honorable 1v1s, and therefore do not need to be fair and balanced in the same sense as duels need to be. But that is not at all what I'm talking about. I'm not pointing at the fact that invasions in Dark Souls 3 aren't fair and balanced like duels. I'm saying that at the moment, they fail to do what they actually are meant to do. The risk and danger of being invaded is supposed to be a balancing factor to the fact that hosts can summon phantoms to help them make the game substantially easier. Something that is reinforced by the fact that in Dark Souls 3 you can only invade embered hosts and are more likely to invade such hosts when they have summoned help, as opposed to Dark Souls 2 where you were able to invade anyone at any time. Again, invasions don't need to be balanced towards being fair 1v1s at all. They just need to be able to fulfill the role they play in the game. And with the state of invasions right now, they don't. Plain and simple. The balance in that regard is massively skewed in favor of one side, with the other side shit out of luck, which seems to be a pattern in From's behavior. I alluded to that in my introduction, and I will get to that again when we speak about a different example of game balance. For now, let's just register that invaders are in no way a balancing force for summoning help in Dark Souls 3. They are, at best, a small annoyance that you wipe away like a pesky fly, while summoning help, on the other hand, is making the game laughably easy. Summons are an infinite resource of the most powerful support you can get in the game. Not even hypothetical 99 stacks of divine blessings or stuff like Dark Souls 2's bright bugs would come close to what summoning other players will net you in terms of rewards. Invaders, meanwhile, have the impact of a singular injured hyena attacking a pack of well-fed lions. I don't think you need to demand fairness and balance for invasions in the same sense as for duels to be able to see how this is a severe balancing issue in a general sense, not only in terms of PvP. Let me give you a comparison. It's all a bit like the Great Shield situation we have now, and this is another aspect of the pattern I was talking about earlier. Great shields and shields in general have always been a bit stupid in Souls games, but From have apparently deliberately made them even more stupid in Dark Souls 3, to a point where one can only assume that those design decisions are exactly that. Decisions, not mistakes. You see, Great Shields completely bypass any thought of balance. The idea in theory is having a shield gives you damage mitigation as a potential reward, with the risk of being guard broken if you're not careful about your stamina. The stability and damage reduction of Great Shields, however, is so high that they become a thing of press L1 for invincibility. There is no risk compared to the massive reward Great Shields offer. I think it's too obvious why this is a problem to talk further about why and how this needs a fix. My point is, summoning help in Dark Souls 3 is to the game balance as a whole what Great Shields are to the weapon balance in particular. And I can't help but think that both of those things are deliberate choices by From for whatever reason they might have for them. Maybe it is their idea of an organic easy mode. I don't know. I just think it's a massive mistake. And I want to talk about how the invasion and summoning balance can be improved in a way that is fair for all sides involved, and which reinstates a balance that is actually adequate for invasions as invasions, not duels, which they of course are not. First off, I don't feel like we need to strengthen invaders. Remember, invasions are not supposed to be fair and balanced in the same way as duels are, and the fact that invaders have a health disadvantage as well as only half their Estus makes sufficiently sure to account for that. It's not the relative weakness of invaders compared to the host that is an issue. It's the ridiculous power that the system of summoning help gives the host that is a massive problem. And the solution has to approach this side of the coin. At the moment, the system goes like this. In every given world, there are 4 player slots available by default. 1 for the host, 1 for 2 phantoms or 1 phantom and a blue, and 1 invader. If the host uses the dried finger, the world gets 6 slots. 1 for the host again, 3 for phantoms, and 2 for either 2 invaders, or 1 invader and a blue counter invader. That's right. An invasion can mean a 1v5 for the invader. And if that is not enough, here's the kicker. All the slots are refillable, meaning the host can resummon phantoms infinitely. And this is something I think every one of us who invades faces on a regular basis. 2 or 3 phantoms, and maybe even a blue, are hacking away at you, while the host stands back, sometimes even behind a fog wall where you cannot reach him, summoning in phantom after phantom after phantom until you are finally out of resources and die. And it's the same deal in PvE. A host can let his phantoms completely ruffle stomp an area, and even if his buddies all die, all he has to do is summon in some more, and then some more, and then some more. Summons are like infinite Estus flasks, infinite spells, infinite projectiles. They are an infinite resource of everything you could possibly want and need to beat the game. And this in a game which, for example, has a very clever Estus system that relies on healing being a finite resource, originally expecting you to weigh continuing the level with few or no Estus flasks and saving time, against going back to the bonfire, losing your progress, but regaining your Estus flasks. That is good, thoughtful balance. How about we finally, after facing the same fucking problem in Dark Souls 2 already, transfer this principle to the summon system? The whole situation could be easily remedied if every player slot could only be occupied once. And what I mean by that is simply, if we take a non-fingered world as an example, and the 2 phantoms the host summoned die, the host cannot resummon any more of them. He has to either face the boss alone, rest at the bonfire and reset his progress, or die and ember up again to summon more phantoms. He would also be encouraged to actually face the invader on the side of his phantoms, instead of treating his phantoms like cannon fodder, maybe even crystalling them out after they killed the invader because, hey, doesn't matter, you can always summon more, right? This way, summons become a finite, yet still massively powerful resource that you have to use carefully. It also means that when I, as an invader, by luck or by skill, manage to beat 2 to 4 phantoms, I finally have earned the right to have a go at the host without having to deal with waves and waves of infinite resummons. Invaders would again be a meaningful danger without being any stronger than they are now, instead of something you just cheese to literal death. I really think this is one of the core issues, not only with the PvP system of Dark Souls 3, but with the game and its balanced situation overall at the moment. There still is a lot more to talk about, of course, but I've already been babbling on long enough at this point. I might continue doing these commentaries and engage in discussions with you guys and gals, but I want to see the reactions to this video first. There is an unfortunate tendency in this community to cover up such issues with the usual get good nonsense. But I really hope we can talk about this a bit more seriously and constructively. I really want this game to become as good as its predecessors were. How about you? Have a good one, mates. Niffenschwander out.